Hi, welcome to Victoria Knits. I'm Victoria. Truthfully, this morning I'm feeling a little down. My kids all left yesterday, and after 3 days of lots of activity, spending lots of time with my 2 children and my 3 grandchildren, my daughter-in-law, my son-in-law, yeah, it's a little bit of a letdown after all that. It was fun. It was busy. We managed to fit in a lot of activities. Probably most of you know how it is with little kids. It's a challenge to get out and do a lot of stuff, but it was fun. It was great having them here. It's very quiet here this morning at the house. Very quiet. I would prefer to have at least some noise. So I don't have any knitting to show at the moment, but I will later on in this podcast, because now I'll have lots of knitting time coming up. Also, my husband and I are, we'll get some activities planned, and probably start making plans to see my grandchildren again before too long. It's 48 degrees out this morning. Feels chilly. And of course, we just saw a deer walk through the backyard, which we never saw while they were here, although we kept our eyes out. That's the way it usually works. After company leaves, the wildlife shows up. So today I plan on finishing my Close to You shawl because I'm just about there on it. And then I have a couple other projects I want to get started on. I'm distracted because there's a hummingbird on the flowering basket over there. Anyway, the rest of this podcast won't be sad, I promise.
You got to get down in that grandma.
Hi. Yes, a little better mood today than last time. And another podcast, another lake in Montana. We are at Ashley Lake today. We came up to Ashley Lake because the Marion Fire Department, the volunteer fire department, was having a pancake breakfast today. So we came up to help support that. Our Marion Volunteer Fire Department is also responsible for part of the Ashley Lake area. They cover some of it with their calls. So we came up to partake of the breakfast and to, just support them. Also, I hadn't been to Ashley Lake before.
Is Glenn going to be here? He said he was coming, but I checked.
So, I do have a finished object. I finished my Close to You shawl. It has not been blocked, but it is finished. At the end, I kept going with rows 3 and 4 and put on some of the pink yarn that I dyed that I used on my Lake Michigan tee, my You Better Like Pink tee, and I like what it did at the end. I think it turned out really pretty. I like this shawl. It's more of a shawlette. So I'll probably wear it more like a scarf. It had a picot bind off at the edge. I like it. I think it turned out really pretty. It's a free pattern, so I highly recommend it. Hi. I think we're going to hit every lake in northwest Montana while we're at it. We are at Rogers Lake right now. Neither Kim nor I have ever been here before. It's a small, rather small lake. It's kind of pretty though. And it's kind of stormy right now. So probably not the best weather to show a lake. You might hear some thunder. So I have a new project on my needles. I started a couple days ago. It is in my Sunshine and Bubblegum project bag that has a cat hair all over it, I see, but you probably can't see it. I won this in a giveaway. It's been almost a year ago now that I won this. I looked it up just before I came here. And I will link to her Etsy shop below. There's some thunder right there. So what I'm working on is called the Nibling. It's a little sweater. I am making, it's actually a little cardigan. I am making for my granddaughter Hayden. And I think it's going to be really, really sweet. I've got the top done, and it's in stripes. And the yarn I'm using is, I got it from Knit Picks. It is Swish DK. The blue is Twilight, and the lighter color is Dove Heather. Really pretty. I'm enjoying working with it. It feels like a really, really nice yarn. I have not done this pattern before, but I thought it looked really cute. Thought it was something Hayden would like because blue is her favorite color. So of course I have to include a lot of blue in it. I think it's going to be really pretty. And it's starting to rain, so I think that's probably a good time to head back to the car. Hi, Kim and I are taking a little road trip. We're on our way up to the Eureka Fiberfest. Right now we are at Lake Koocanusa. And yes, you heard me right, it's Koocanusa. This lake is about 90 miles long. It's actually a reservoir. It was created by damming the Kootenai River. This was a joint project between Canada and the United States. This lake, actually a third of it goes into Canada. And the lake got its name in a contest in the early 70s. Mrs. Alice Beers from Rexford, Montana, won the contest, and she named the lake, the first 3 letters are from the Kootenai River, K-O-O, and then the next 3, C-A-N, from Canada, and then USA from the United States. So it is Lake Koocanusa. I think that's pretty cool. Also, I thought it was interesting, in Canada, they spell Kootenai with a Y on the end instead of an I, as they do in the United States. Just a little Canadian twist, I guess, up there. So, knitting. I finished the Nibling sweater, the Nibling cardigan for my granddaughter. I really like the way it turned out. It knit up really quickly because the stripes kept it interesting for me. The only thing I did different than in the pattern was I added a collar around the top. I just did a garter stitch collar for about 25 rows going back and forth until it looked like it would drape nice, and I like the way it turned out that way. I wanted to point out, I have my Do Bears Knit in the Woods t-shirt on. I bought this from the Etsy shop KnerdShop, and I will link to them in the show notes. I really like this shirt. I think it's really cute, and it seemed very appropriate for me in Montana. So probably the next time I see you, hopefully we will be in Eureka at the Fiberfest. We did enjoy the Fiberfest in Eureka. There was also a quilt show going on at the same time. Gorgeous quilts all over town, lots of them with Western themes. This is downtown Eureka. Eureka is a very small town in North Montana. It has about 1,200 to 1,500 people. I think most of them were there that day. I also tried my hand at yarn dyeing in the past few weeks at solar yarn dyeing. There's violet in the bottom of that jar.
This yarn is dry. Decided not to. This could be a mess. Decided not to wet it down first.
I was expecting a beautiful purple violet color. I did not get that at all. I got this light pink. Possibly because I bought this yarn at a secondhand store, so I have no idea what the content is. I don't know. It's pink. Big fail. Gonna try again. This time I have soaked my yarn. I'm adding some speckles with a fork. And then when I get that all finished, I realize solar dyeing isn't going to work for this. So I take it inside, lay it across the holder in our canning pan, and steam it for quite a while. And that seemed to work out pretty well. Another thing I did in the past few weeks was knit this sample shawl for Cappy from the Yarn and I podcast. This is out of her hand-dyed yarn. And if you're ever asked to knit an item by another knitter, probably they are going to reward you very well. Cappy certainly did. It was a great trade on my side. Hi. Well, if you made it this far, good for you. I know the beginning was a little rough. I was a little down after the kids left. But, you know, things have improved. Oh, I have a lot shout outs to give. Gosh, I have 2 coupon codes, which is a first for my podcast. Cappy at the Yarn and I has offered a coupon code. It's Victoria Knits, and that will give you 15% off a purchase of $25 or more in her Etsy shop, and that is good through the month of August 2017. Also, SSK Yarners, who have an Etsy shop, have offered a coupon code, and it is VIC15, and that is good for 15% off through the month of August 2017. Also, I wanted to let everybody know I have started a Ravelry group. I know I held out on that for quite a while. I'm not sure why. It seemed like a big headache, but it hasn't been so bad. Thanks, Cappy, for walking me through that. And kind of to get that started well, I bought some yarn at the Fiberfest to give away. So one of these yarns I'm going to give away in the Ravelry group, just in the Ravelry group, and it is this one. I know you can't see it very well, but I will put a picture up of it. It's very lovely. It's from Montana, from Whitefish, Montana. It's polka dot sheep yarn. All the details are in the Ravelry group. The name of it is Hobbit. It's lovely. I had such a hard time picking out yarns from her shop. They were gorgeous. The other yarn I am going to give away on YouTube. And it is it doesn't have a color name because it was a limited die. So in order to qualify to win one of those, really simple question. I've got a thread in my Ravelry group with a just simple question, and the question here on YouTube is, have you ever been to a Fiberfest? You can answer it yes or no, or you can go on for as long as you like. It's fine with me. Either way, you'll be entered in the giveaway. So coupon codes, giveaways. Speaking of giveaways, I have won things this week from SSK Yarners. I won a pattern for the miniature stockings. They've been doing that Christmas in July. She also sent a little package of minis. Super sweet. Thank you so much. I can't wait to get started on those because I love Christmas. Also, like I said, Cappy at the Yarn and I was very, very generous when I knit that shawl for her, and she sent yarn, another one of her Janis Joplin's yarns. You probably can't see it. I'm podcasting in the evening just so I can get this done and, I don't know, change things up. I thought it'd be kind of fun. So thank you, Cappy. I can't wait to use that yarn. I also won something from Sasha Knits. If you want to support the next generation of knitting podcasters, look up Sasha Knits. She has a cute little podcast, very, very short, but she did a giveaway, which was very nice of her. Thank you, Sasha. And I won a pattern from her, which I intend to knit because it's a Halloween hat, and I love Halloween. So thank you, Sasha. And I will be putting links to everything as usual in the Dropbox. I will probably also put them in Ravelry too, in the thread, because you might as well, right? That's what it's for. Oh, and the Ravelry group I created is called Victoria Knits, which makes sense. So I wanted to give a shout out. I've been watching a new podcaster. It's Just One N. It's Liz. She's in Pennsylvania. Also, I just want to remind everybody about Lucky Jenny Knits podcast. If you're not watching her, you really should. I've joined a cowl she's doing. I couldn't resist. It was a pen pal cowl, and I don't know. It's like, why not? It sounded like fun. So I joined her pen pal cowl. She is doing it with Pause for Stitches. Candy at Pause for Stitches and Jenny are doing this pen pal cowl together. And I was assigned my pen pal, and it is Patty of 4 boys and a NL girl in Canada, in Newfoundland, Labrador. So hi, Patty. I'm really excited that you're going to be my pen pal. I'm looking forward to this. Also, I've been watching a new podcast called Baa Baa Ya Ya. It's Wendy. She's in Illinois. I love her podcast. She gives great tips. She's been knitting forever. We're about the same age, and she has grandchildren. So I feel like we have a lot in common, and I've really enjoyed her podcast. Also, I always watch Never Cast Off with Sheila and Debbie. And I've been watching The Slow Knitter with Rena in Florida. And probably everybody knows that DogStar Knits just started a new podcast. And it looks like that's going to be a lot of fun. And if you're not watching the DogDare Podcast, I don't know what rock you've been living under either. But I just assume everybody's watching David too. Why wouldn't you, right? So, gosh, that was a lot of stuff. I will put, everything on the screen and everything in the drop-down box as I usually do. And like I said, little rough start to this podcast. I'm feeling better. I just had a visit with my daughter and her family to see my grandson, one of my grandsons again, and that really helps a lot. It's always really nice to see them, and that cheers me up. So that was it was a short visit, but it was really nice. And as usual, I'm going to end this podcast with a few wildlife videos and pictures we've taken around here. Lucky for us, there seems to be lots of opportunity to do that. I can't think of anything else I need to tell anybody. But, gosh, thanks so much for watching, for subscribing, for leaving wonderful comments. People have been so generous with their comments lately. I read them to my daughter, and she's just like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, I can't believe that." And I can't believe it either. People have been super nice, and I really appreciate it. So, as usual, goodbye from Montana. Happy knitting, everybody. Happy whatever you're doing. Thanks for watching.